Welcome once again to Curious Crossroads, our 10th episode. And I'm Doug. This is my son, Doug. And we are so happy that you stopped by to join us. Today, we are so excited because we are going to pull the curtain back on the hotel industry itself. Everybody has to book hotel rooms. We're going to tell you some really good things about hotels and some things that are a little scary about hotels. How you can get a great booking rate. How you can know for sure that a hotel is reputable and you can believe the reviews. We're also going to find out about some crazy stories from hotel guests themselves. And joining us today, the person that has all the inside scoops on the hotel industry, Katie Schultz. She's been involved in the hotel industry for years since she graduated from college. She is currently the dual property director of sales at Home 2 Suites and True by Hilton Minneapolis Mall of America. And perhaps most importantly, she is my daughter, and I couldn't be happier that she's joining us today. Katie, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's weird hearing you say Katie Schultz.
Katie Schultz,
Katie
I know.
Solem.
You can still be considered a newlywed, correct? I mean, is
less
it
than a year, yeah.
Less than a year. And how is Eric treating you? Do we have to go rough him up, or is he being a good guy?
So far, so good.
So far,
Everything's
so
going well. Yep.
Wonderful. How did you get into the hotel industry? What was that? What you went to school for? What's that all about?
So I did go to school for travel and tourism, but it actually started when I did a couple summers in Alaska. So I worked in Alaska at a place called Kenai Fjord Tours, and I worked there for 2 summers in college, and it was really amazing. And that's kind of when I decided, like, wow, I said hospitality might be my shtick.
And
I went to Alaska too with her.
I was just going to say, you were good enough to have Mom and Doug both come and join you in Alaska. What were some of the tours and that sort of thing? What were those like that they were able to take advantage of?
Sure. So I worked at a place called, like I said, Kenai Fjord Tours. And what we did is we did whale watching and glacier tours. So we would take people out on the water and we would basically hope that whales would jump out of it and we'd see glaciers caving into it. And it was really cool. And so Mom and Doug and Lynn and Patty, when they came up, they got to take advantage and go on those tours, and they got to see whales jump out of the water. And
yeah, that was the first time that I got to see whales. We saw the orcas, and then we saw the humpbacks too. Yeah,
it was really cool. People don't know, but we actually got to see a lot of different types of whales. So there's transient orcas, there's the resident orcas. So when you look in the water, you're going to look at a black and white fish and you're going to say, that's Free Willy, that's an orca. But actually, there's different types of orcas, and they'll battle each other based on if they're like a transient and they're just moving through, or if they're resident and they stay there.
Did you ever lose any tourists as a result of being swallowed up by an orca or a whale? I mean,
nope.
Is there that danger where you got to stay out of a
certain, I know of a video
distance?
I got a video I can show.
Well, no, we never lost a tourist. However, one thing that would happen a lot is in Miller's Landing, there was a sister company, and they would take people out to go kayaking, and whales would come up along the kayakers. So you'd be in a kayak, and all of a sudden you would see a whale just kind of brush by the side of it. And that would happen all the time in Alaska. I never saw it or witnessed it, but that did happen.
And normally they're not out to harm anybody.
No,
they're
not usually. If you're not a threat to them, they're not a threat to you. I mean, it's a whale versus a person, so I guess something could go wrong.
Well, orcas are dangerous, right?
They're
killer whales for a reason.
The transient orcas are actually the ones that are really dangerous. The resident orcas, the ones that are used to living in that area of Alaska, are less aggressive. So a lot of times the ones that are more aggressive are the transient orcas.
Are transient the ones that come from Hawaii? Is that what you said? What's the difference?
No, they're the ones that don't come back to that same spot of Alaska every single year. So they, like I say, transient, it's kind of like a transient guest in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
They're coming and going. And then like the resident orcas, that's their home.
So they're like guests. So they're kind of like...
So they're guests, they're kind of making their way through, and they are the ones that generally
they're like the Hell's Angels of whales.
What about, the Hells Angels of whales?
They just kind of come rolling through, and you better be nice to them.
Another thing that you have to be worried about, and I know you told us, what about things like the moose and the black bear and because they're all over the place, right?
Moose are number one. Moose are the ones that you see the most often.
And you can't go up and pet moose like you see On YouTube, you'll see people trying to.
They will chase you down.
They will.
Yeah. Moose are really dangerous, really aggressive, very territorial. Bears, it's kind of, so black bears, they say look big and scary, and usually you'll scare a black bear off. And with grizzly bears, they say play dead. So it's kind of a.
And what about polar bears? Are there polar bears around?
None that I saw.
Really?
In that area, no.
Right.
They might have been a little further north.
Right. Now, was that when you were still going to college that you were there? So you were going to school for travel and tourism, correct?
Initially, I was going to school for business. I just started with a business degree. I just figured, I wasn't positive what I wanted to do, but that was going to be a good start. And then once I went to Alaska, which was in 2010, so that was like my sophomore year, right after my sophomore year, I just decided to change my degree to travel and tourism. But luckily, that business degree, a lot of my credits carried over, so it didn't delay me too much.
So from there, at the same time you were going to school, as I recall, you were also started working at a hotel in St. Cloud.
Yep. I started working at a hotel in St. Cloud, and I got that job after my second year in Alaska. And when I got that job, I knew that that was something I wanted to do. So I no longer had the quote unquote summer job anymore with school. And I knew that if I wanted to grow in this industry, that I'd probably have to hunker down. So I only went to Alaska for 2 summers. And then that third summer, I worked in hotels.
And I know you really liked your manager in St. Cloud. What was his name?
Dan Lovis. Yeah,
Dan Lovis.
He was amazing.
Like your mentor?
Yeah, he was great. He was the best manager. He actually just reached out to me the other day. Funny enough, he was at a winery when we were out for Carly's bachelorette party, and he saw me, and he didn't get a chance to come up, but he messaged me on Facebook, and we just recently touched base. So yeah, he was a really great guy.
Oh, that's funny. Can a hotel, let's say you've got all these good reviews for your hotel, and there's one guy that just says everything is just terrible. Is a person able to is a hotel able to take down somebody's review? Or do you have to contact that person and say, hey, would you take this down? Or
where
can you do that?
Are you talking on Google, or what are you talking about?
Yelp or whatever.
Yeah, we would have to fight it. And it's a lot harder to fight it than what you would think. But we get reviews all the time, and we sometimes don't think that they're warranted or that they were for the wrong hotel or whatever it might be.
Right.
It's harder to get them taken off than not. So sometimes you just live with it.
Right.
Other times you do reach out to the guest, or you reply to the guest on whatever forum they wrote it on and say, hey, we're sorry you had a bad stay. If you could reach out to us and elaborate, we'd love to, make it better. Sometimes we'll even reach out and say, we don't have a hot tub. Are you sure that you reviewed our hotel? You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Can say I write a review and I go, geez, I was a little hard on that hotel. Can I take down my review, or once it's up there, is it up there?
No, you can take it down.
You can.
Yeah, it's like social media, essentially.
So you can go in and unplug it.
So you could try and contact the person that left a bad review?
For sure. And like I say,
that might be a way of getting it down rather than going through Google.
That's probably the way you would get it taken down, is having them do it. Because like I say, it's really hard, because Google, think about it. If they had every time somebody left somebody a 3 instead of a 5, say, I want to take this down, they'd be taking stuff down all the time.
Sometimes it's too bad that you can't write a review about the people that stayed at your hotel, because there's some people that stay at hotels that shouldn't be allowed into hotels.
Yes, that is true.
What are some of the horror stories that you've seen? Working at all the different hotels that you've worked at, you have had to come across some things where you went, somebody left and you went into their room, and maybe you can elaborate on what you've seen.
That's probably the most loaded question of the day. One thing that has happened at my hotel is there was a gentleman, and he was doing pull-ups on a pergola outside. It was an outside space right outside the gym where we had grills and stuff. And so the pergola is the overhanging thing with the slats of wood, and he's doing pull-ups on it. And he's a big guy. I was like, that's not safe. You might break it. So I went out and I said, excuse me, sir. I said, you can't do pull-ups on my pergola. And he said, all right, I understand. And then he lifted his shirt and he showed me a gun.
What? And I said,
get away from me. I'll do this if I want.
Understood. And he kind of this is what, we got an understanding. God. And I was like, huh. So I called the non-emergency number because he was leaving me alone. It didn't need to be a thing. That's a thing too. You want your hotel to always look good. And so you don't want to have the cops there if they don't need to be there. So I called the non-emergency number, and they came in an unmarked car, and they just talked to the guy, and It was kind of taken care of.
And this is at like old hotels when you...
This is at past hotels.
Past hotels.
Yeah, this is past. Any horror stories are past hotels, nothing current.
So did he keep doing pull-ups?
He did. And I let him.
What did the non-emergency people do?
They just came and basically were like, if you have conceal and carry, it needs to stay concealed. Kind of just went through those types of things.
So did he have a conceal and carry, or
I have no idea.
You don't know? Never
He
turned
left
up.
shortly after that.
What a dick.
Yeah. I had another guy that stayed at a hotel. And he stayed there for a little while longer. So you had talked about like the extended stay piece of a hotels. They can be good, bad, and otherwise. So not every extended stay hotel is like a negative thing. There are extended stay hotels that really truly cater to like businessmen. So we're used to businessmen coming in Monday through Thursday. They leave for the weekend, they come back. But it's like a place for them to kind of call home when they're working.
Right.
Generally speaking. During COVID, that wasn't so much the case. During COVID, it was people that were staying at the hotels, living there basically until they got kicked out or they didn't have a living situation and that kind of thing. And hotels were obviously really suffering during COVID. So we kind of embraced whoever wanted to come in as long as they could stay there.
Right.
We had a gentleman that was staying at the hotel for a while, never caused any issues, paid all the things, and he left, checked out, and we went into the room. And he had left behind sex swings hanging from the ceiling in multiple areas of the hotel room.
And what are sex swings? How do you know there are sex swings? Do they have like...
Yeah, how do you know that?
We're not talking about this on the podcast. Cut. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
We're leaving that in.
No.
Huh.
Interesting.
No, but so they left sex swings all around the room, and you know, like, it's fine, he left and he was no issue, but he literally screwed them into the ceiling, so we had to unscrew them from the ceiling and then get new sheetrock and new ceiling panels. So
did he like leave a credit card? Were you able to come back and charge him for the...
No, his company was paying and his incidental card like defaulted, and the way the company paid, we just weren't able to collect.
Another thing that happened during COVID, there was a kid who I'm pretty sure dabbled in some extracurricular activities, either some drugs or alcohol. And when I say drugs, I'm thinking probably some psychedelics, because he opened up multiple cans of acrylic paint of all different colors and then dunked our rags, our face rags that we give people to put in the room, and spun it around the room, and our room was like technicolored. What? Yeah, and it was just the bathroom.
Well,
I do need to specify.
Damage,
I do need to specify. When I say spun around the room, he spun it around the bathroom. But it was acrylic paint, so we couldn't just wipe it off. We had to chip it off little by little.
And again, are these people? Are you able to call the police on these people, or
Oh,
are you
yeah.
just biting the bullet on this?
No, that's when they would get kicked out. And like I say, and it is what it is. But addiction and stuff was definitely prominent. I saw more of it than I'd ever seen on the hotel side
During
of things.
COVID.
During COVID. And so these people would come in, and not to be political, but this is just how it worked from my standpoint. Stimulus checks would go out. These people would get their stimulus check. They would come in on Monday and they'd have the money and everything would look fine. And they would stay for the remainder of the week, and it would peak about Wednesday, and I was kicking everybody out Thursday and Friday because they just would be debaucherous in the hotel.
Right.
It was just crazy. I even had, the kid that had done the Technicolor, in our bathroom, I had to kick him out, obviously. He couldn't pay for it. He wasn't going to clean it. You just need to leave. This is no longer right for you. He went over to the construction site next door to my hotel, and he was knocking on the foreman's door trailer asking if he would pay for another night at my property because he thought I was trying to kick him out just because he couldn't pay. It's no, that's just one of the problems.
One of the things that I know that I've heard you talk about before was when you work for that company that went and serviced hotels. They weren't a hotel itself, but they serviced hotels. And that company used these great big vans, right? Or great big trucks.
Yeah. So,
well, tell the one about that you saw on the news here in the Twin Cities when the truck was stolen.
Oh, yeah. So that was my very first week there. And I was overseeing some guys that were actually in Minnesota. servicing a Motel 6 at the time. It was in the winter, and one of the things we had to do was we had chemicals and everything in our van, so we had to sometimes start the van and leave them on when it would get frigid cold outside in those climates. Happened to be a very cold night. Rule of thumb would be go start the van, lock the van with the other key that they all had, and let the van run locked. Not best practice, but that was what we asked them to do if it got really cold.
Right.
And to do it for like an hour, not the whole night. One of the guys put a key in the van, let the van run for multiple hours without locking it.
Oh.
That van got stolen in the middle of the night. He called me at about 3 a.m. and he goes, Katie, I think my van got stolen. And I said, are you sure you walked out the right exit? Because I just did not want that to be the case. I was like, are you sure you're looking in the right spot? And he's like, absolutely. And I said, okay. So I said, well, we got to call the police. I said, get started there. So we went through the whole process. And long story short, we did end up finding the van. It had been stolen by some people that were on drugs. And they decided to spray paint half of the van, which was funny because the other half of the van had our logo on it too. So I guess one logo was bad, but
being able to find it.
Yeah, it was not too hard. And then they proceeded to push all of our stuff out the back. And on 94, they pushed like big like hoses and everything out the back. Could have killed somebody. And they actually got found at a Holiday gas station running the van as a brothel. So there was a woman in the back that was turning tricks for drug money at a Holiday gas station, and a cop that knocked on the door found it that way. So that was an interesting one, and that was my first week. And I was there for 2+ years, so I mean, it didn't deter me.
And were they able to get that truck back into shape again, or did they have to write it off as a loss? Or
I can't remember. We did get the van out of the lot. I'm guessing that they probably were able to repaint it and stuff because it was a perfectly functioning van. They didn't do anything.
Was there like a bed that they found in there? Were they using a bed in there?
No, it just was like like the way our vans worked, where it was like 3-seaters in the front, and then it was like totally.
No, I mean that when the people stole it, did they put a bed in it? Because you said they were using it as a.
No, they were laying on the bottom of the van. Like the back was like basically gutted out so that we could put all our equipment. Well, then they pushed all the equipment out and just were using the floor of the van.
Which Holiday gas station was it?
Brooklyn Center.
Why? What? Why?
I think it was right up the road from your
Curious.
house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Anyways, so one other thing that happened was I got a call at like midnight on a Tuesday. And it was one of my guys, and he was intoxicated, and his van was stuck on a train track in, like, Ohio. And I was like...
One of your guys was intoxicated?
One of my crew members was in Ohio on site for a job. He called me, and he said, Katie, the van's stuck on a train track. And I was like, cool. Probably you should call the police before you call me so a train doesn't come. Nope, can't call the police. We've been drinking. I was like, all right, let's figure this one out. So I was like, would you like to hide in a bush while I call 911? Because I don't need a train to hit the van.
Right.
So
and?
They walked to the hotel, and I called the 911, and we got it towed.
What about a good story? Like, did you ever have any stars stay at your hotel? Was there any like movie stars or any bands, you know?
I think I have a good story like to kind of transition into that. I have a story that started out bad and ends good. So this is again during COVID times. We had a couple that came to our hotel, and they were just having a bad night. They were having domestic issues, like where they were arguing a lot, and it amplified, and it ended up where they were out in the parking lot, like wielding a knife at each other and trying to slash each other's tires. Like, it just got crazy. So my night auditor at the time just said, hey, listen, we're going to ask you to just to leave. There was no like pressure to get the hell out of there like super fast. It was just, you guys need to pack up and go. He got a call from them about 2 hours later saying that they thought they forgot a kitten in the room. A kitten. Like, it's not very, I don't know, even if you're not a pet owner, I think you can I think it might be a little hard to forget one of your kittens.
Well, yeah.
Unless you had a bunch.
So long story short, they're kicked out. My night auditor said that he went up to the room to look for this kitten, did not see a kitten. I came in the next morning at about 7 a.m. and I'm like, I can't just sit here and believe that there's not a kitten in the room. So the first thing I did that morning is I went up to the room, and there's this tiny little orange cat sitting on the computer chair just slowly spinning. So he must have just jumped up there. And I just scooped him up. And he was so healthy. Like, this cat was so healthy that I thought, if these people truly called to get their kitten back, they might have just been having a bad night. He's so healthy. I'm going to call them and see if they want to come get him. So I called, got a voicemail. They never called back. Never. And I tried calling more than once. I called twice, I think, just because he was in such good shape. I was like, you guys might have had a bad night, but you're taking care of this cat. And I'm not just going to take somebody's pet.
How long were you holding on to the cat for before?
So I held on to the cat for about until noon. And then
Till noon? That's not enough time to give him a call back.
Well, noon.
You wanted that cat.
No,
yeah, you're like, it's been an hour. It's been an hour.
No, I got in at 7, waited till noon, and then I called a rescue place because I was like, I want this cat. But I knew my husband would not react favorably if I just brought home the cat. And we also had another cat at home, so I didn't want him to like get sick if this cat had something weird wrong with it.
Right.
So we call the rescue. The rescue comes and picks up this cat, and I just basically say, my only request is like, I would like an opportunity to adopt it if it comes to that. And I'd also like to know that the people that left him cannot get him back. And they assured me of both. So a couple weeks went by. The cat got into their system and got checked out. We got our cat checked out, and we went through the process, and we ended up adopting the cat that was left at the hotel room.
That's a good story.
So we now have Mulligan, and Bogey is our cat that we rescued.
And Mulligan was a good brother.
And Mulligan was a good brother immediately. Yeah, they've been best friends ever since. It's pretty fun to just watch them come together.
And you've had some really good experiences, obviously, with guests that have stayed there. I think you mentioned that there was some people that their daughter wasn't doing well or something, and they ended up giving you concert tickets.
Yeah. Becky and Mike were great guests. They were a couple of hotels back. They were going through a tough time with their daughter. She had terminal cancer, and they were staying at our hotel because they would come when she was doing her treatments and that kind of thing. And we just really connected well. I did them a small favor just over Christmas. Like, she was too ill to be able to like get into their house because of the steps. So they ended up spending their Christmas at our hotel, and we gave them like some comped rooms. And then I've been able to stay in touch with Mike and Becky because they are Jimmy Buffett fans, which was something that we just had in common. So we talked about music a lot and stuff, and became Facebook friends. And then earlier last year, I saw that Billy Joel was coming to town, made some random post on Facebook like, oh, this will be great, I really want to go. And they reached out, and they bought my concert tickets.
Oh, that's great.
So, and like that was like their way of saying thank you to me, and it was just so above and beyond. But the world kind of goes round, you know.
Right. And then you also had, I thought there were some bands that came through, like was Sawyer Brown.
Yep, we had Sawyer Brown. There's a lot. So being by the Mall of America, I'll be honest, I'm terrible at remembering names off the top of my head, but being by the Mall of America, and even now, we get tons of bands that play at Mall of America. Right. So like the big middle area, like where you get a lot of people that are like kind of like B bands or C bands, and they're trying to work their way up, they stay at our hotels all the time. We actually, as part of the partnership with Mall of America, is we give them 20 gift certificates every year, and so then we get to see a lot of like who they showcase at our hotels.
And you and Mick Jagger at one time had something going on.
Just at one time, though.
You and Mick Jagger.
He's kind of old.
What? He's old, but he's got money, doesn't he?
No, I think so.
That was last year. Wasn't that last year?
That was 2 years ago.
One that was really funny that happened at Mall of America, by Mall of America, not at my current property, is the whole entire crew from Jackass showed up. So
What?
Bam Margera.
I never heard about that.
Bam Margera, all those guys like showed up.
Not Johnny, though. Not Johnny
Nope,
Knoxville,
but it was after Johnny Knoxville. But they showed up, and
This was at one of your hotels?
yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they wanted to get in, and I figured out who they were, and they had a tour bus, so I figured that some people were probably staying on the tour bus, but I was alone at the hotel that day, and I was like, I'm not letting you check in without something that says you're not going to ruin my hotel.
Right.
So I like went in back and typed up on like computer paper, like in Katie's words, like, I promise to not ruin the hotel while we are here. And like I made the guy sign it. And I was like, this will hold up in court. And
was that like the manager that signed it? Huh. Did they take it easy on the hotel?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they were fine.
Would you let them trash the hotel if they reimbursed you and then gave you extra too? Like if they were going to put on a show? And they're like, hey, we're going to destroy this, but we'll pay you 3 times as much. Would you be cool?
Because you've had your hotel rooms
cut.
destroyed before.
You probably have to call like the head of Hilton or whatever.
Yeah, because you've had them destroyed before and you don't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
So if somebody was actually going to say, we will
I would assume
reimburse
that's
you.
what they actually do on the show, right? Like if you're going to go in and terrorize it, like
You
I
would think
feel like
so.
they're down to earth.
There's
enough
a price
to pay
for
it.
everything. If they were only going to ruin one room and I had to put one room out of order and they pay me for the lost revenue, sure.
Under the table.
Isn't it one of the perks for your job too? I mean, can't you go to hotels all over the country or all over the world at really?
I can stay at any Hilton in the world for $45 a night.
Like you went to Hawaii for your honeymoon.
Yep.
And you were.
We stayed for 3 nights, we stayed for 7 nights on the beach at a Hilton, and we paid $356
Per night?
for the whole stay.
Wow. That's great.
So it makes it really, it's fun. It's fun to travel that way. I mean, we get to do a lot of fun things because
then you took
hotels are not a factor.
Your mom to the Waldorf Astoria in New Orleans.
Yep.
And was that a good deal that you got on that?
Yeah, $50 to stay at the Waldorf.
And then don't they give you like $40 in drink
that's
coupons?
the best. That's my favorite part is if you stay at a full service hotel and you work for Hilton, you're usually getting paid to stay there because it's like $20 per person per night in food and beverage credits. So my mom and I went to the Waldorf. We paid like $45-50 for this per night, and then we got $25 per person per night in food and beverage credits. So we literally were making money back essentially to stay there. So that was pretty cool.
That's great. What would you say is the nicest hotel that you've ever stayed at? Would that be the Waldorf?
Yeah, I would say the Waldorf.
And is that part of the Hilton, or why did you get such a good deal?
It's a Hilton. Waldorf Astoria is Hilton.
It is.
Yep. So Hilton, like Marriott and Hilton and IHG and all of those things, they have brands underneath the name. So like Hilton is Hampton, Embassy Suites, Homewood, Home 2 Suites, True, Hilton, all of those. So like there's names that are not Hilton names. Because I'll be honest, I didn't know Hampton was a Hilton until obviously I've known for years and years and years now. But when I first started even, I didn't realize that a Hampton was a Hilton. If Fairfield is a Marriott, Holiday Inn Express is an IHG. So
That's still owned by like Paris's family, the Hilton.
No,
they sold it.
Yeah, it's been.
Oh, so they just have the
name. It's been
name
outside the family for a long time. Yeah.
How long? Over 10 years.
I don't know that part, but
yeah, they're not affiliated anymore.
No, they're not really affiliated.
Well, don't they manage
Hilton
hotels though? Still, no.
Not that I'm aware of. The Hilton name is not operated by the Hiltons anymore.
And then any other juicy hotel stories that we've left out before we close out here today? I mean, anything that you just go, holy cow, I cannot believe that this just happened.
I also want to know too, you might have mentioned it a little bit, but like, what is your favorite part about working in the hotel business? What do you like the best about it?
And you're director of sales.
Oh, well, I will say that I love my job. I'm a director of sales, and I work 7 to 3 Monday through Friday. So that's the thing like that we didn't really get into is there are niches in hotels where you are not run dry. Like ops, absolutely. My general manager, if they don't have a good team behind them, they're going to be in that hotel more often than they're not. But sales, you truly can only sell Monday through Friday, normal business hours. That's when you're going to reach out to companies and make connections. That's when you're going to
7 to 3.
Yep.
Wonderful. And at your hotel, are there actually? I mean, I've stayed at the True part of it, right?
No, you stay at the Home 2.
I stay at the Home 2.
Yep, that's the suite side.
So are both hotels right there?
They're both in the same building.
They're both in the same building.
Yep. So you walk in and there's a half moon desk, and the desk operates for both properties. We have one breakfast for both properties, one pool. All of the exterior amenities go to both properties. The interior, the rooms are where they're different. The True side, it's more European. It's simpler. It's a standard room. The Home 2 suite side, full-size microwave, refrigerator, dishwasher, sink, more extended stay style. But that's why I kind of wanted to bring up that the extended stay sometimes has a negative connotation because people think of it as like a place where people that don't have good income or are homeless or whatever go and stay and they hotel hop or whatever it might be. But the Home 2 Suites and the Hiltons and that kind of thing, those extended stays truly are for the businessmen or the family or the displaced person that their house burnt down and they get set up through like a housing establishment to get put there. It's meant to be pure, but like I say, sometimes in those lower econo styles, it becomes a little bit more hectic.
Would you recommend the hotel industry for somebody that might be thinking about a career choice?
Yeah, I mean, I recommend the hotel industry to people that are retiring. I think that it's something that is an easy thing to get into. Hotels are always hiring. If you want to travel as a retired person, it's a great way to have my benefit of $45 a night.
What about the parents that just let the little kids come down by themselves? Is that frowned on?
Very much so. I mean, more for their safety than anything else. Just for their safety. I mean, I've had in past properties, little kids get left in like the fitness center because they'll go in there with like a sibling and then the sibling walks away and they leave a 2-year-old in the fitness center.
What?
I mean, that's just not safe.
No, that's crazy.
The swimming pool all swimming pools at hotels have a key entrance, so it's not like a toddler could just go open the door and jump in the pool. But if that toddler walks in with another family and that other family isn't paying attention, it could be very dangerous.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. That's kind of freaky.
Back of house, a lot of times housekeeping doors are not locked during the day because our housekeepers are going in and out, but there's so many things back there that they could get injured, or if they got wrapped up in like some towels and got thrown into one of our industrial washing machines or something. Like, I mean, kids could get really hurt if they're not supervised at hotels.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by. It's been very informative.
That's what you want to end it on?
What's that?
That's the thing you want to end it on?
You can end
Kids
it.
Kids could die.
Where would you like to end it? Seriously, anything that you'd like to add as far as...
Give a plug to your company or...
Yeah, give a plug to your hotel.
Reach you if they want to stay with you.
You love your hotel. I've heard you say over and over how much you like the group that you're with right now.
And working with Hilton.
A lot of times hotels are not managed by the brand. So like Hilton, my hotel is not managed by Hilton. Hilton has no affiliation with my hotel other than we franchise the name. So we live under the Hilton umbrella and we follow the Hilton rules and we live up to the Hilton standards, but we're not operated by Hilton. I'm operated by a management company. So the management company is truly who you're working for. You're not working for Hilton. You're operating a Hilton hotel. Hilton will come in and do quality assurance and make sure that if you're like using their name, you're living up to like the standard.
Right.
But we're not operated by Hilton. So that's just something that's kind of fun and interesting. No, I love my hotel. It's a great hotel. We're right across from Mall of America. And
it's a good management group.
Amazing management group. I have to put a plug in for our housekeeping. I have not seen a cleaner hotel than the hotel I'm working at right now.
Oh, I know.
And I mean, that's like the truth. And I would tell you if it wasn't, I would tell you if I've seen other hotels that were immaculate. I've not seen a hotel that is in better condition, 4 years old, and has gone through COVID.
We've stayed there several times, and it's always just perfect.
If someone wanted to book with you, how could they get in contact with you? Or
well,
just
you're the Mall of America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy.
Yeah, Dad said it. I'm the Home 2 Suites in True by Hilton, Minneapolis Mall of America, and you can ask for me or just come and stay. And yeah, I mean,
and your name again is
Katie Schultz.
Katie Schultz. It's been a pleasure having you with us today, and we will look forward to having you back again at some point in time. So if you can, I
don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah, well, like I say, well, your golf game is getting better and better. So maybe next time you come back, we'll have a little conversation on golf.
We just had that golf tournament in
yeah.
Where was it? It was White Bear Lake.
White Bear Lake.
I told Julie, Lynn, and Michael I'd give them a shout out. So if you guys are watching this, shout out to you guys.
Julie, Lynn, and Michael. Hello.
They're just great people too.
Yeah.
They're always so kind. They come up to me and golf tournament was so great, and they always go out of their way, and I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did your team finish?
-2.
We were -5.
-5.
Took second.
Your team came in second.
Eric's team won. That was fun.
Craig's husband's
Craig's
team won.
I think Craig's team stole money from us.
We were doing a few too many putts, but that happens on occasion.
Yeah, it's a fun tournament. So
it was a great tournament.
All right.
Oh, one thing I do want to mention, and maybe you can put up a little plug for them, but Le Musique in St. Michael. They are wonderful people. They have incredible talent that comes in for their musical shows. And they've got a lot of outdoor concerts going on right now. And like I say, we'll put up an ad. We'll put up a little ad for them.
Or a little video.
A little video to show you what they've got going on. So, until the next time, have a good day.
Have a good life.